Hey team, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian, core design engineer with Brunswick Bowling, and today we're talking about the newest release in the track lineup. It is the new Stealth Hybrid, the last but certainly not least release that we're announcing for the Bowl Expo and Trade Show season. Last in terms of the number of videos that I've done. It's been a marathon, but just so you know, I have done a video for all of the releases for June and July for all of the products. That includes a comparison chart that ranks all of the balls in their respective brands so that you have a good idea of where all of these balls fit in the respective brands' arsenals, and also for your own personal arsenal so you can make smarter decisions about what balls to select for the upcoming fall and league winter season. And can you believe we're already talking about fall and winter leagues right now? But last but certainly not least, of course, is this Track Stealth. It marries a pair of components that we've already seen before. It is the Stealth core that we're very familiar with and is probably the most popular symmetrical core in the Stealth lineup in a very long time, with the HK22 Prime Response hybrid cover stock that was seen as its debut with the Track Theorem. That is by far and away the most popular ball that Track has built in the last number of years. It's not even close. And combining these two has made another gem, very predictable but hard charging back-ending staple in the middle of your bag that becomes this Stealth Hybrid. So just a quick refresher before we jump into all the chart stuff. This Stealth core has a 2482 RG. That's on the low side of medium for a relatively fast but fairly medium revving core. An 056 total differential is about as high as we go with total differential. That's going to be a ton of flare potential for a lot of overall shape out of this core. And of course this core has a flip block on the bottom of it. That's a high density piece. You've also seen this one on, of course, this Stealth core is shared with all of the Stealth balls, but that flip block is also upside down on the top of the Cypher core. So combining this, of course, with the HK22 cover base with the Prime Response hybrid additive package, that's the exact same cover that you saw on the Track Theorem, then we've got a ball that is kind of I don't want to call it a baby theorem, but it's basically a ball that's going to have some of those long and strong characteristics of the theorem, but packaged slightly differently. This being a symmetrical core with a higher flare potential is kind of interesting because this one is going to read the mid lane with perhaps a little more security, but the change of direction at the late mid lane and the back of the lane is going to be a much more symmetric type motion. And by that I mean it's going to be a more of a hard arc. It's going to change direction well and it's going to continue really well, but it's not going to be quite nearly as abrupt and maybe not quite as early of a change of direction in the mid lane. Another way to say that is the hook window on the Track Theorem is shorter because the change of direction is more abrupt. That means you could probably use steeper launch angles with the theorem. It's more inclined to use for use on heavier volumes, but that also means that its usability might not be quite as wide-ranging and the forgivability might not be quite as good as this new Track Stealth Hybrid. And in case you haven't noticed by my description, we are very high on the ball motion of this Stealth Hybrid. So without further blabbering, let's just go ahead and throw them on the chart. Before we get to all the new balls for the Track lineup, I just want to remind you really quickly about what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to build a 6-ball arsenal. Why 6 balls? Well, that's super easy. That's 2 3-ball totes. If you're bowling in a league, then you can either leave one in a car or drag both in with you. You have a perfect 3-ball or 6-ball arsenal. And more than that, if you travel to any tournaments that require you to fly, then you can bring 2 3-ball totes right under the 50-pound limit per bag, and they fly on the airlines for free. Well, some of the airlines for free. And so what I'm going to recommend to you is that you get 2 balls in the strong oil category, 2 balls in the medium oil category, and you guessed it, 2 balls in the light oil category. That's going to be a total of 6 balls. And among those 6 balls, I recommend that in each category you get a smoother option and a sharper option. In other words, you should have a smoother and a sharper heavy oil ball, a smoother and a sharper light oil ball, and a smoother and a sharper medium oil ball for a total of 6. So we'll go ahead and throw these track balls up on our chart right here. you'll notice that this chart currently has all of the balls for the last year's release window prior to the Bull Expo launches that include the Tundra Bluefire and the Track Stealth Hybrid. This lineup is headlined by the two strong asymmetrical cores in the current track lineup that are the Paragon and the Arc-type core. You'll notice that the Paragon Pearl actually backends a little less than the Arc-type Hybrid. You would think in your mind, based on what people associate with hybrids and pearls, that it would be the opposite, but it's the core characteristics that are really driving the ball motion with these two. The lower RG, the more mass-centric Paragon core, is just going to be stronger in the mid lane with a more blending back-end motion. Still a strong, stout back-end motion by its own accord. The Arc-type Hybrid, with its skinny, tall core shape and its higher RG, is going to be just later revving and just easier down the lane before making its move at the back of the lane. Now you'll notice a slight gap in the chart that is the top left, but that's because Track's releases are on a limited basis. They're constantly filling gaps in the arsenal where there are no product. But the Arc-type original sanded version was a pretty stout competitor in that category. And of course, going all the way back to a couple years ago, we had the original Paragon, that tricolor blue solid. So both of those kind of round out the top left corners, with the Paragon being a little smoother and the original Arc-type being a little longer and stronger, but still in that big asymmetrical category. So that isn't really a gap so much as it is just a longer release cycle for the Track brand compared to some of the other brands that we deal with. Now we'll go ahead and pop up the newest releases. I already talked a good amount about the Track Stealth Hybrid, so I don't think I have to go into a great level of detail. This is going to be a beautiful step down from your Theorem or your bigger shiny ASIMs that we just got done talking about. When the pattern starts to open up and you see a little mid lane friction, if you're a high rev player, I can easily see this as a number 2 ball down from something that's a little more controlled, like a sensor or a cipher line, when you want to step in and open up your launch angles. If you're a lower rev player or a more matched player, then I see the Stealth Hybrid as being probably a ball down from some of the bigger asymmetrics, like the sanded asymmetric Arc-type and or Paragon that I just got done mentioning, or even the shinier ones that are just above it. I think a wide range of player styles and a wide range of medium light to medium heavy conditions are going to be very suitable for this style of ball motion and ball motion shape. Before we go, I wanted to briefly touch on the Tundra Bluefire. That's another ball that was released. It came out in June, and I don't think it got its diligence. We always do a refresh of the lighter oil product catalog in the off months because those stay in the lineup as staples in the lineup for a year or two. They don't get as much turnover as the high performance products, so the release window for those is at a time that gets a little less fanfare. So I think I would be doing a disservice to the Trek Tundra Bluefire if I didn't get to mention it. It is a high RG in the 256 range with a low 030 differential. This is a tour style differential ball with a shiny cover, and of course it's the HK22 cover base. So this is a really high performance product for not very much money. HK22 cover base and a tried and true core that's been in the Track lineup in and out for going on a decade now, but more than that, it's around in the Track lineup for so long because it has proven itself as a true performer. Not only that, but this Bluefire just gives you a little more security compared to the original Tundra Fire that came out with the HK22 cover base, just over a year ago now. So this is a little bit of an upgrade with a little more mid lane and a little more change of direction at the back of the lane, just because it's starting up with that cover just a little stronger overall. Still fits in the same category. I would have the Fire just slightly longer and slightly stronger with less hook potential, but only just. This one would be a nice replacement if you've put a lot of mileage on your original Fire, or if you're missing that slot in your bag below some of the stronger earlier sanded symmetricals like your Cipher and your Sensor. If you don't bowl on a lot of oil or you just have the hand of God, then this Tundra Bluefire is going to be an amazing way to round out your Track arsenal. With Track products, it certainly is more quality over quantity when it comes to their releases. They have fewer releases than most of the major brands in the industry year over year, but because of that, there's an extra level of time and effort to ensure that their products fit in the arsenal exactly where they expect them to. And their performance is no slouch either. I would, without exaggeration, pit Track's performance of any balls in their category against any other balls in the industry currently right now. That's how high I am on Track's products that they're releasing. And that goes for the last year or so of releases, basically dating back to 2022 when HK22 started rolling out. The Track cores seem to marry the HK22 covers very nicely, and there are honor scores to back that up. So if you're interested in trying out a Track product for the first time, or if you're a longtime loyalist, just be aware that the Track Stealth Hybrid is available in pro shops right now, right alongside the Tundra Blue Fire. You can pick them up at your local pro shop. And since you've made it this far into the video, make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube and Facebook pages, Bowling Buckosh. I make new video releases every time a new release comes out for the brands of Brunswick. Focus on cores. I'm only going to be doing the chart stuff just once a year during Expo time to give you a refresher on how all the products stack up year over year. This isn't something that I can sustain or do every time a release comes out for the brands of Brunswick, but never fear, if a new core design comes out, I'm going to be here with all the details about how that core fits into that brand's lineup and all the information that you need to know to make sure that you're making the right buying decisions for your own personal arsenal. I do appreciate if you leave a comment. I am happy to respond to any questions that you might have about your own personal arsenal or how any of these balls fit into the Track lineup. And of course that helps me help bowlers like you because it, helps the algorithm, helps people find me, all of that jazz. So in closing, make sure you check back often because we're going to start talking about some new releases for the Ebonite lineup as the summer season comes to a close and winter leagues start to make your way into the bowling centers. I'll see you next time for the new Ebonite balls that I probably already said too much about. See you next time.